Hello and welcome. I hope you're safe and well. In today's exciting episode, we take a look at everything I made and finished in January 2025, including the fabulous grey jacket with flowers all over it.
It's perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect jacket.
So for most of January, I finished beading the Paris jacket, which is the blue and green one, and I finished beading the grey floral jacket with it's got flower beads, as well as some chandelier beading on there as well, like hanging down off it. And to give me time to do that, I filmed all my jackets. I got them out. I did the gold collection. This is the khaki and the olive one. And then I had all my aqua jackets, aqua and pastel actually it was. And you can sort of see in the background, this is the aqua ones. Aren't they adorable? Yes, I know. I was like, when I was getting them out, I was like, gee, I've got a lot of tweeds that are incredibly similar. But that creamy mix, mix of aqua and cream, it's just so lovely. One's Chanel, one's from Lint and Tweed, one I bought off Etsy. Oh, that one's also from Lint and Tweeds, and there's some cottons in there as well. So, they're all different. And and my beautiful Tempest jacket, which took an absolute age to bead. Anyway, so I filmed all these and then I showed them as episodes, and then so I just mainly beaded two things, and then at the end of the month I was like, oh okay, I've also got to make something, because I decided that I'd try and finish or make 9 things each month this year, which is a ridiculous goal, but I have stuck to it thus far. So we have 9 things. 7 of them were jackets. They're made from Simplicity 9124 is the pattern, and I sort of modified it a bit. I made the neckline a little bit more like a Chanel jacket, and the sleeves, I have small shoulders, so I like kimono sleeves, but I just sort of wanted to make them a little bit more wearable. They're still super baggy, but yeah, so this is one of the 7 that I made, and the sleeves are really big and flappy, but once you weigh them down with lots of beads, they sit really beautifully like a kimono sleeve. So they have 2 layers of netting as a structural layer, so they can carry the weight of all the bead that's going to go on them. So they do look this ridiculous before they're beaded, but once the beading's on, they're going to look beautiful. And I love these cottage flowers. I love the sage green and the sort of steely blue on that sort of, it's not really a cream background. It's more sort of grayish. It's really pretty. It's like a rainy day in winter, really gloomy, but in a pretty way. And this one is another floral. It's got a sort of bluish grey base, and then it's got flowers in apricot, orange, brown, creamy lemon colour, and there's also some white flowers in there. And for the longest time I was like, ugh, I hate the white flowers, I'm going to cover them up. But my daisy jacket, I have some of the flowers left over from that, and well, the aqua ones I wouldn't put them on and just use the little white daisy sort of flowers. So maybe I will use them on that. I don't know. I was originally going to use, because I've got flower-shaped beads in the apricots. I've actually got some in browns as well, and lemon colours. So I was going to use them, but then I'm going to use them on this peach one that I'll show you later. So to make another flower jacket like my grey one. So yeah, this one here. So I think I'm going to use all the flower ones on this, or maybe just the apricot, and my camera does not like this colour. It's a really nice warm peachy colour. Okay, it's sort of halfway. It's not this orange. It's more a sort of peachy, pinkish. And I've got some flowers in, they're like bead-shaped flowers. When I show you the grey jacket, you'll see what I mean. Originally I was going to use the yellow, the apricot, the lemon, and the orange all together. But I don't know, because they're such small jackets, because originally I bought enough to do Chanel style jacket, and these ones have less surface area than a Chanel style jacket. And the bolero jackets that I'm making now actually have about half the size of that again. So I'm tempted to sort of buy some more peach felt and make a even smaller one, because the smaller the jacket, the more weight of beads you can put on it, because if the fabric is only half the size, it's not as heavy for you. I mean, you can do a more compact design. You can have twice as much weight per inch, as long as you apply it correctly, because you'll end up carrying, because it's such a tiny jacket. Anyway, this jacket here has got lemons on it, and it looks like it's very Mediterranean sort of Dolce & Gabbana, I think, and I absolutely love it. If I wanted to make this jacket very Dolce & Gabbana-esque, I would use white beads or white and gold, because that's what their signatures are. But I've got loads of yellow and lemon coloured, lighter yellow coloured beads, so I think I'll use them. But also my favourite colour is green, and I love the different greens in this, so perhaps I'll do green beads sort of dripping right off the edges, right around the whole thing, but probably yellow. And then next up we have the Paris jacket. Goodness, I didn't make very many things at all in December, but I made this Paris jacket at the very start of December, and then I did this bead haul. Well, I just got out a box of my beads because I was looking for something, and I went through them, and there were these apricot and orange beads, and I love apricot and blue together. So I tried them, and they just didn't look good. So then I had blue beads that were the exact same blue as the Paris fabric, and I liked that, but also green is my favorite color, and I had all these bright green beads. So I was like, oh, actually I'll do one layer of blue, and then I'll do a layer of green. And then of course I got bored with that, and I was like, oh, you know what, I should do some vertical gardens, because vertical gardens, Patrick Blanc, he's this French guy who grew up in Paris, and as a teenager he grew orchids on his wall. I feel sorry for his mother. But anyway, and he just got obsessed with climbing plants and how the roots intertwine and they make the whole plant structure. They sort of keep it the more roots that grow, the more structural integrity the vertical garden has. And so he developed this way of, like, there's these sacks that you put the plants in, but then as the roots grow and the sacks rot, there's obviously soil there, and there's pipes that drip down water. Anyway, it's really cool, and he developed it, and now there's loads of buildings around the world that have these vertical gardens on them, and they're just amazing. I love them so much. There's like all groups of all different plants, but also you see old buildings and with a plant growing out of them, or like moss on buildings and things like that. So I love that look. So this is just pictures. And most of this footage was taken in, so I made it at the start of December, and then I sort of did a couple of other things. And this is just throughout December. And I think the back looks really, really vertical gardenish. There's like 3 or 4 different types of seed beads in the little tiny green beads. They're not all the same color, they're slightly different shades, and it was so much fun to work on. I just love looking at green, but the problem is that because I did the blue beads first, then the green beads, then I got my brilliant idea about the vertical garden, it's actually really heavy. So if I have my time again, I love this jacket, and I will probably leave it the way it is. I'll probably make the lining and leave it the way it is. But if I have my time again, I would take all the beads off, turn the fabric, because I can't buy that fabric anymore, turn it into a bolero style jacket, so a jacket using half the amount of fabric, and then rebead that, because it's fine if it's just one jacket, but I can't do a whole, yeah, it's very heavy. So this is me just showing the order in which I because I was doing so much work with this beading, then I sort of had to show other videos for each episode that I release, and the ones where I actually make something, it was just like I've done like a tiny bit more on my beaded jacket, because it's like 3 jackets worth of beading on this one jacket. So it was really, really, really good fun to work on. I think I'll try and do my 9 items, finishing or making 9 items per month. I think I'll keep going with that, but for this year. But from then on, because I'm running out of storage boxes and storage room. So I think from then on, I'll probably just work on one really complex piece, 1 or 2 really complex pieces each month, and leave it at that, and maybe just make style and fashion videos and other sewing related ones. So yeah. But this one, it's really scruffy. Like, it looks like an unmowed lawn, I think. And I like the way I've got on the shoulder seam, I've got beads along them. In the current bolero jackets that I'm making, the shoulders aren't, see these jackets, the shoulder is off the shoulder. So it's kind of, the weight is in a weird spot. If you do beading along the shoulder seam, it's kind of a weird place for it to be, but along the top of the shoulder, that seam looks good. So I think in the bolero jackets, I might do the seam along the top of the shoulder. I might bead that in some of the ones I'm working on at the moment, but I absolutely love the way I did the triangle. Then I put the vertical garden style beads on the back as well. Absolutely love it. And with this, I did little smaller triangles on each sleeve as well, but on this one I couldn't be bothered carefully undoing the blue beads before I put on the green beads. I just left them there, so that one's a little bit different. It's got a few blue beads in there as well. So yeah, I mean, I know it's scruffy looking, but I just think it's adorable. I love it. It looks like it's got grass or moss, or I love that green glow of moss on really old buildings, and that's kind of what it has. So yeah, and because I spent so much time doing that beading, almost none of the others have beading on them. But this one is beautiful. It's sort of like a mosaic. It's a quilting cotton. Most of these are quilting cottons. A couple of them are flannel cottons, but this one's a quilting cotton, and it's just really pretty. So this one came in 2 different colorways. There's this one that's mainly blue, and there's another version that's mainly red. And what I love about this is all the colours in it, because I just love colours. They're beautiful. But the little bits in between each one that make it look like a mosaic rather than just a bunch of blobs of colour, they sort of look like they're gold. So I think originally I was going to use my pirate treasure beads. They're this mix of beads I've got. They're really bling beads in aqua, teal, blue and green, and I don't know, I just call them my pirate treasure beads because I love them. Used them on the denim blue Italian tweed. Anyway, I was going to use them, but I think I'm going to use gold beads on that one. Anyway, so next we have this cottage garden one. Ooh, this could be my cottage garden jacket for my Make 9. I could bead this, because I did technically make it this year. So yeah, maybe I'll do that. Anyway, so I can't decide whether to go pink beads or blue beads with this, or I could do pink and blue. And you know how it's got the blue lines in between each of the pink flowers? Well, what I wanted to do is because in the UK they have those dry walls, the farmlands are very manicured, because it's it's been cultivated exactly the same way for so long. And they've got those either hedges between each place, or they've got those dry stone walls. So I was going to do blue beads along the blue lines and make them little dry stone walls. I think I'll try hanging down beads in blue plus clumps of pink, or maybe clumps of blue. I don't know. I'm not sure. I kind of want to mix hanging down beads with clumps of other ones, kind of like I did with the Paris jacket, I guess. But green and blue are much more forgiving because they're natural tones. So we will see. And this one here is actually, after I did that previous one, I was like, actually, these beads would look good on this. And this one, because it's beige and white and pale blue, it's much harder to find beads to match this one, whereas I've got loads of different blue beads and pink beads, so I could use them on that one. But this one, because the beige is a very peachy beige, I don't know. I've got these tiny little decorative sequins, which are sort of a peachy beige and silverish. So this is me showing you the stork crane flower birds in there. So it's mainly these really oversized flowers and teensy tiny cranes or storks. I guess they're just far away. Anyway, so I haven't really decided how to bead that one, but I do have loads of beige beads, so I presumably will use beige and blue. Ooh, actually I have clear silverish. They're really, really pale silver bead. That might look good on them. Anyway, last but definitely not least, we have the grey flower jacket. So I made the actual jacket. I think I made the felt grey jacket right at the end of November in 2024. And then I started beading it in December, but it had one layer of beads, first of all. And then I had a package of the progress in December, but I think I accidentally deleted it. Oopsie. Anyway, so I just made the felt jacket, and then the next month I did this one layer of beads over the top, and I had 5 different type of beads, 5 different types, but only 3 of them I had a lot. The other 2 I only just had a handful of each. So then I put all the second layer of beads on, and then I was like, I think I could do more. So then I did all these hanging down beads with either a bead flower cup on the end, or these chandelier beads. They're plastic, but they look like the prism things on the end of it that they hook on the end of a chandelier. So yeah, it was up close. Some of them look sort of brown and some of them look different types, blackish grey. But yeah, it was so much fun to make it, like just to cover the whole thing once in flowers. I was like, oh my gosh, am I even ever going to be able to cover the whole thing? And then I did, and I still had loads left. So I was like, okay, now we're going to do another canopy layer of flowers over the top. And it just looks so amazing. Just the amount of detail in this, and I love that I did the red triangle on the back. A lot of people ask about the red triangle. It's part of a flag. Essentially what it means is that I respect Indigenous rights, and so people who fight for liberation and want to regain autonomy. It's something I strongly believe in. And so I put these, when I was a little kid, the first jacket I made, it had Free Tibet on the back. So I'm kind of, you are who you are. And I think even if your stance is that you never make political statements and you ignore everything except your own, past your own nose, that in itself is a political statement. So this is mine, each their own. And yeah, so I had great fun making this. And I love how it's sort of it looks like a concrete wall, and the red triangle on the back sort of looks like graffiti. I think that's really cool. Anyway, so it's a little bit heavy. If I have my time again, I would probably try and use plastic beads for the little strings of hanging down beads. they're all glass ones, which is, it adds up over time. Like, you know, I worked on this for a lot of December and a lot of January, but totally worth it. I really, really like the way that it turned out. And as I said, I've got the apricot and orange flower shape beads, so I'll probably make another one of those. But yeah, it did take a lot of time. Anyway, that is everything that I made and finished in January 2025. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you've been inspired to make something of your own. I'm kind of regretting the whole let's make lots of things each month. But yeah, I do have loads of fabrics to get through, and my whole bead collection, and I've got lots of unbeaded jackets. So, I mean, I guess there's a point to it, but it's so much fun just focusing on one thing and just doing a tremendous amount of detailed work on it. It's just so cool. So anyway, thanks again for watching, and happy sewing and beading.